We have a huge crisis in our country with mental health. 20 to 25% of youth are suffering with some sort of mental disorder. Mental health challenges don't just affect the person who has them, it of course affects the whole family as well as the community.
We see a lot more anxiety disorders now in kids and adolescents than before. The World Health Organization some years ago predicted a 50% increase in depression and anxiety and other psychiatric disorders in kids by 2020. Some 22% of adolescents and kids have a psychiatric disorder of some kind. Only about 20% of those actually get treatment.
Mental health problems really start early. They don't just crop up out of the blue when you're 20 or 30 or 40. It's really starting from the very earliest stages of development that we can intervene. We're beginning to develop new strategies for understanding what's the biological basis of anxiety disorder, but a whole host of different mental health problems that come from the earliest stages of development that will lead us to better treatment so we can help more kids achieve their full potential.
And treatments are available, but there's an urgent need to develop more tailored treatments that we know will be effective for each young person in their own context.
So many young people who appear for treatment have mixtures of problems. They're not just depressed, they're not just anxious, and so we need treatments that span an array of different problems. This is one area where I think AIM makes a very important contribution, sort of speaking out, advocating for young people, and really normalizing mental health challenges, and in the process reduce the stigma.
AIM has done an excellent job of putting together a scientific advisory board of the absolute top experts in the field, which creates a very open culture for scientific thinking and inquiry.
Scientific Advisory Board is a roster of my heroes, people whose work I have admired for so long and whose science is solid.
The study that AIM is funding, not only are we working to understand what's happening in the brain to cause anxiety in very young, so preschoolers, these are 4 to 6 years old, but at the same time we're also developing a brain-based intervention to help these kids overcome the fears that maybe are preventing them from going to kindergarten or getting along with family or making new friends. AIM is really stepping in by funding early career scientists who we need to grow more of to be able to do this work, to understand what is causing youth mental health problems, how do we better treat youth mental health problems, but also not only funding those young investigators, but funding research that puts clinicians, patients, and researchers together in the same room.
It's a time when government funding for research and for postdoctoral positions is very difficult to find. Luckily, AIM came to support me in a really great way.
We do have momentum now, but what we really need is breakthroughs and progress in research, and that will make a huge difference. That will save a lot of lives and a lot of futures.
With your support, we can find solutions. There is hope out there, and AIM is leading the way.
All right, let me just actually turn myself back on here. All right. How's that look? Hopefully it's only shaking for me. Yes, hello. What's up, bud? Oh, hi. Oh, hi, Mark. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I don't know if they can hear. I don't know if chat.
Doku, I don't hear you, baby. Let me get everybody in here. Make sure it's all set up. It be like that sometimes.
Well, sometimes I forget.
It do be like that. Okay, so hi everybody. Thank you guys for raiding on in. We're continuing the Black Collar Collective's, I believe, what is this, a fourth annual AIM, third annual AIM Youth Mental Health Collective charity event. So, yeah, we are giving away a lot of great prizes. So if you guys donate, any donations of $50 or more in one go, will get you entered into a raffle to win. We have a Kindle HD8, I believe, and some really awesome, sexy Ray-Ban sunglasses. And then all donations are entered into the Black Collar Collective's gaming raffle, and they have multiple games they're raffling off. And then I and Vulgar Face, my husband, which will be on at noon tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time, we are giving away a $50 Steam gift card in a raffle of our own for anyone that donates during my segment or his segment. So donate now, donate tomorrow during his at noon. You might win a Steam gift card, $50. So, you know, let's get into it. We left off with the amazing Epic.
We're at currently 15:30.
Yes, and we're at 15:30, which is fucking amazing, guys. Absolutely fucking amazing. And that's all thanks to you guys and the amazing people that put this event together, and all of you, Docu, Epic, everyone else that's been involved. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you guys. And without further ado, good, amazing Sir Epic, I hand it over to you.
We just told a story about an elderly couple over on Daku's stream before we came over, which really kind of hinted to maybe, you know, you had mentioned Men in Black sort of ties, because these, you know, adults came on over and, you know, picked them up. Now, this is one of few stories where something like this has happened. There's not a ton of stories, but there are multiple stories of people who have let them in and didn't realize what was going on until afterwards. And most of them say that they get the same sort of thing. They get instant nosebleeds, and they have some sort of form of skin reaction.
Interesting.
Whether it's blemishes on the skins, like they've been burnt, or boils, or in this particular case, advanced skin cancer. It's very interesting. Coincidence? Maybe. But very interesting that a lot of these people that have these stories where they actually let them in have these negative effects.
Terrible, just fucking terrible side effects. Yeah, like holy shit.
Right. But that also includes, and everybody who's run across them has run across issues with like lots of mental issues. I've mentioned this before.
Right.
Where they've, you know, insomnia. They made like walking nightmares where they're awake and they're having nightmares and having like seeing things, hallucinations, things like that. So, you know, and some of those are more common than others and more prevalent than others, but it's definitely a creepy story. So yeah, alien, maybe it could be alien. And there are theories. There are lots of theories that the black-eyed kids are alien hybrids. Now, what their goal is, what their purpose is, why they're going to people, I don't know. Like people have thoughts and they're like, yeah, it could be aliens, but it could be alien hybrids and a lot of people I think go to that because of the black eyes. Because when you think of grays, one of the most predominant things you think of when you think of grays is their jet black eyes. They're giant black eyes. So a lot of people go, oh, well, you got the creepy feel, you've got the sulfuric kind of smell, you've got the you know, coming to your door. But then why do they need to be asked to let in when aliens and that kind of thing? They're pretty much well known for just coming in your house.
Kind of just walking in, yeah.
Just, you know, coming in and taking people, you know, away. So it's a very interesting thing. Apparently, I do not think they're hybrids with humans. Oh, so they could be hybrids with something else, maybe.
Did a vampire and an alien get it on?
Oh my, getting it on. But I say it's very interesting because there's such strong similarities to, again, supernatural, but then again, like Docu said earlier, like, and especially with this information, that's very, very alien-esque. But like you said, like, why would they need permission? So is it like a combination of demon aliens? Because we've heard, I feel like Docu's brought that up before. There's like a correlation between demons and aliens that goes a lot further than you would think.
I've mentioned it a lot of times that they
I feel like you
are
might have...
not necessarily different.
Right.
You know, in a lot of things that I've seen and a lot of things I've read, there are religious people who have turned away aliens. Like they've seen aliens for sure, UFO sort of thing. I'm trying not to laugh at that, and I want to.
My
I want to
glob.
so bad.
Oh no. Do it. Give into it.
So there's lots of people who have said that they've had alien encounters where using the same things they used to turn away demons, the Michael's prayers, the invoking names of religious figures like Jesus, has actually turned away aliens.
Well,
and there's a handful of correlations with that, and which I also think, well, that's an interesting fact.
I run away from Bible thumpers, so you know.
That's fair. Maybe if they're aliens, maybe the aliens are just like knowledgeable enough to be like, ooh, no, like with their otherworldly intelligence. Yeah, they're like, no, we're good. You guys can just do your thing. We're solid.
But yeah, I find that very interesting. A very interesting correlation, though, that the religious connotations that turn away demons also have in the past turned away aliens in some aspect, including people who were people that are like regularly visited and claim that they have abductions regularly. They've turned to religion, and the events ceased.
Interesting. And do we think that's a correlation in the sense that was the issue, or do you think maybe it leans more toward? Yeah, but I guess that's the question, right? Is it mental health?
That is the question.
Is it religion? Is it them just like correlating, things that aren't actually correlated? They just found something that helped them get through whatever it is. It's very interesting. I like the broadness of of this whole thing so far, like, because it's very hard to really lean towards one way.
Yeah. So when we also look, there was also a topic earlier, and it was when Daku was giving her presentation, she talked about the correlation between some of the things with the Fae.
Right.
And I would be remiss to say that there isn't a lot of correlation between the Black-Eyed Kids and the Fae. And I'm going to read this little blurb that I pulled. No one knows exactly what happens if you let them in, which is not necessarily true, but there's probably no guarantee that you'll make it out alive in the long run. But there are people that suspect that the children are actually members of the Unseelie Court, a secret world that exists beneath ours, in which creatures known as the Fae reside. Fae is a powerful creature that have human-like appearance, in their most distinctive features being their pointed ears. They are known to be ruthless and consider themselves to be the superior species. It's speculated that the Black-Eyed Children are in fact Fae that are assigned to come to our world for the sole purpose of kidnapping humans that are turned into slaves and forced to serve the Fae for all of eternity. It is also suspected that the children merely turn the victims into one of their own or force them to live out eternity that way, and also to hunt victims.
So that's really funny because that correlates heavily with my topic, like heavily.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's a reason I wore the ears.
We discussed children; they are all connected.
They are all.
Oh no, the Fae children with like that whole little snippet right there is it heavily intertwines with changelings. That's crazy. The Fae always seem to be responsible for stuff. Weird how that works. Always comes back to the Fae.
Right. Now, also keep in mind that a lot of stories of the Fae talk about the Fae having human-like appearances, with the exception of jet black eyes. A lot of Fae have that great black eye look to them. Now, who's to say? Because people have also said that a lot of the Fae are also actually just demons. So,
right.
Let's just go full circle here on this.
But what if we're the aliens that came into Earth and this is actually their planet that we invade? I'm just saying. That's
why they all have black eyes and we're the only ones that don't?
Yeah.
Maybe. With the exception of all the animals that are native here.
Well, we certainly know that blue eyes are
We could have brought our
weird
stock.
trait. That's true.
We could have brought a little capsule with all the genetics in it and just released it on Earth and made it our world. I'm just saying.
It's, it's very possible. Very possible. So, Rosemary Ellen Guiley, who is no longer with us, has done lots of research, and she also believed that the black-eyed kids were something else entirely. She thought that the black-eyed kids, along with many other things that you see in that kind of reside in the pop culture, such as Slender Man, such as the massive clown appearances that happened a handful of years back, which was kind of right before she had passed away. She attributes all of these things to something known as the jinn, who are tricksters.
Oh.
And
Yes,
like
I
to
love
take the
that.
forms of other beings. And they also enjoy the cruelty and the negative emotions of mankind. So fear is a negative emotion, and having fear along with pain, and that is something that they just enjoy doing. It's chaos for the sake of chaos.
Right.
And so when they see a pop culture thing taking a foothold, they use that to spread the fear. So she was under the feeling that it was really just them going with the time and becoming kind of one with the story of it all, being, okay, there's the story and now it's starting to grow. Let's feed into this. Let's continue this thing. Or they do it once and it becomes a story, and then it grows and all of the other ones start doing it. So Rosemary Ellen Guiley, and if you don't know any of her stuff, she is one of the few people that I consider a true expert on all things paranormal. Dozens and dozens of books for many years. An amazing human being. And she at the end of her career, she was getting to the point where she was thinking almost everything: demons, aliens, all of those things were all of them were actually jinn. And she akined it to kind of cracking the code on the paranormal when she unlocked like this box of things where she realized that all of the things tied back to the jinn. And talk about 30-40 years of research in all things paranormal, and she covered every aspect of the paranormal, everything you could possibly think of, from dream visitations to ghosts to aliens to UFOs to Bigfoot to Chupacabra. Everything she researched, and was one of the most well-known ones. And for her, at the end of her life, to say all of the things are tied together and they all lead to the jinn, was very, as a person who followed her work for many years and watched her on that journey, makes me give pause and think, maybe she was onto something. Did she find something that other people haven't? Because she did touch on all of the different aspects of the world, of the paranormal. So one of my favorite things kind of ties into that. And I've mentioned it in chat when you guys were doing other things. Do you remember me talking about thought forms or tulpas?
Yes. Yes.
So for those that don't know, a thought form or a tulpa is you put it out into the world and it becomes real sort of situation. And on the low key, people do their future boards where they're like, I want my career to go good, and this is how I see my future going, and they put it on a board, they put it out, you put it out into the universe and things happen. Well, the bad stuff has that thing too. And things people see have that effect. There have been multiple times where people will mass gathering and everybody focus on one thing and it becomes true. This, I remember I watched a live episode. I mentioned Art Bell earlier. There's a reason I mentioned Art Bell earlier. Art Bell, on his show, Coast to Coast Live, did a video feed. And it was his home, and he had a map of the weather up, and he showed the forecast of the weather in his area where he lived. And the forecast said clear skies all night long. This is 1:00 in the morning. Clear skies for 2 days, no storms anywhere nearby. And he had everybody sit down and focus. Everybody listening, focus on storms on his home. And he said, I think it was Arizona, focus on storms, water. Everybody close your eyes. And he did this visualization, mental aspect. And out of nowhere, storms started coming in. And the next day, there were flash flood warnings no joke. He actually had to tell people. He had the next day. He had people come on.
Chill out.
He did the same exact
Interesting.
process in order to try and get the flooding to subside, because it was
Right.
literally.
All right, monkey paw, undo it.
Right. So
Undo
the
it
thought
now.
of thought forms and tulpas, because this came really to being in 1997, 1998. A lot of people were talking about this. A lot of people think, well, it could just be a thought form or a tulpa, because just like Slender Man, everybody was putting it out in the world, and then all of a sudden
Right.
people started seeing it.
So it is.
So who's
Have
to say
you-
that the collective conscious can't just create a, something like this, whether it's visual, whether it's real, whether it's not?
Have you ever heard of the dancing plague?
I have not.
So this was a real, you can look it up, historical event that happened, and it was chalked up to mass hysteria, but I find it to be very eerily similar. It was an event where it started with a young girl dancing in town square, and then another person started dancing, and then another person started dancing, and then another, and then the whole town was dancing. People started dying because they danced for days and days and days. They didn't eat, they didn't stop to use the bathroom. Until someone came in. I believe they came in and did a blessing, or they did some kind of exorcism, something like that. I believe it was something religious based, and that kind of freed the people of this dancing plague. And I think that's very, very similar.
Yeah. So these are all thoughts. These are all thoughts. So of things that the black-eyed kids could be, other things, other theories of what they are. And you guys can all, come up with your own thoughts of what they are. Take the information, but also I'm a big proponent of looking at other things and seeing how they work in the grand tapestry of things. So for me, all of these other theories are really fun to look at, because then you go, okay, well, does it fit this puzzle? Does it fit the Men in Black puzzle? Does it fit the Alien puzzle? Where does this puzzle piece fit?
Right, kind of pulling on that thread.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So, I think to end that, I want to explain that David Weatherly, which is the book that we're giving away here, he wrote this book, The Black-Eyed Children. When we hit, what was it, 1,500?
1,500.
I said I would add this to the giveaways.
Yeah.
So David Weatherly is the major researcher. So this is the second edition version of The Black-Eyed Kids. And this book covers, and I'm just going to briefly tell you guys, it covers things from Encounters and Legends, Black-Eyed Kids. It talks about Brian Bethel. It actually tells the full story of it and the modern age Black-Eyed Kids. It talks about the doctors and what doctors say and the medical backgrounds of it. Black-Eyed Kids throughout the history. Did you know that there are stories of them from as far back as the 1950s? The Black-Eyed Kids have been appearing for very long. There's actually in China, there's something called the Hungry Ghosts, which some of the Hungry Ghosts are described almost identically as the Black-Eyed Kids.
Okay, so it's something that is not just in Europe or US, it's
correct.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Ancient, old China, feudal China.
Oh wow!
Era.
Yeah,
Hungry Ghosts, talking about these children with black eyes.
Yeah.
That are haunting. So a lot of these things go back a very, very long way. So it's not like Brian's story was the first. There are stories of it happening beforehand, and people, you can go on Reddit right now and go on to Reddit/paranormal and just search Black-Eyed Kids, and you will find hundreds of people's personal stories talking about their situation with these children that come up, and they just want to be let in, and what happens and what they're scared of, and grandma's encounters. There's ones where people talk about their grandparents and stories that have passed down through generations of the Black-Eyed Kids. So this is not something that is just new, but we still don't have any idea exactly what the Black-Eyed Kids are.
Absolutely, Bentley. That's what I was going to say is when there's these stories that span across the whole planet and go back, like you said, all the way to feudal or China, that's fucking insane. Like that makes it a lot more like tangible for me. I find it a lot more like I said, like tangible, a lot more believable than something like, oh, I saw this on like TV, so now I'm gonna run with it. You know, it's you know, it's just a lot more real.
Yeah.
And like you said, the gin thing is I think that's a very, very interesting spin on that.
I love the theory of that too.
There are so many stories that I just love, and I love people's takes and their theories on it. And I've always just thought that it was cool. And like I said, I remember one of the first people that called in with a story on Darkness Radio, and that's how I started getting into it. And people calling in and saying like, I had an encounter too. Because it started off, people are like, yeah, that's bogus, I don't, whatever. And then people kept calling in with their stories and kept submitting their stories. And it's like, there is no way that all of these people have these experiences, and they're just now making it up because the one person called in. Like, no.
Especially, like, it would be very hard for so many people. It's just like with a lot of the alien sightings, when there's more than like one witness, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to believe that many people would have such intricate details without being in like mass communication, which just isn't the case. So I find that to be very compelling.
Yeah,
for sure. So hopefully what I had, it's not in the same style that you guys have, because I have a really hard time, you know, with the
no, it doesn't have to be. I love essays,
but hopefully I was able to give you some fun insights onto the story of what they do and some of the theories of what they might be or what they could be, and let you decide. Let you guys decide what.
And really, that's what the Thicc and Spooky Ghouls podcast is. You know, we just want to talk about it and like inform people, no matter how you inform them. Like just talking and learning about these really cool,
something interesting. You know,
I say supernatural, spooky, alien, whatever. I just love.
We were going as paranormal podcast, but I felt like that title wasn't
broad
enough.
Yeah.
So I changed the cover to something different. So
I
forgot what a paranormal podcast, but it was more of like a thing. The things unexplained weird things is basically what we talk about.
And I really wanted, part of me is like, I could just sit here and read the book all day, but I'm like, no, there's so many cool things. I'll just give the book to someone.
Yes, and we love that. I know how many people know the Dream Man. I've never heard of the Dream Man.
The Dream Man, he's the guy that shows up in your dreams and you never know what his face looks like, but you remember interacting with him, even getting intimate with him. But you don't remember his face. Like
that instantly makes me think
when you have to think about descriptors on body type, color, look, like nothing. It's just an essence, a masculine essence is what you would remember.
I was gonna say Rosemary's Baby. I guess she remembered demon-esque things happening during it, like Satan-esque things. And then Bentley says, I think we don't know what the black-eyed kids are because they're hybrid that we haven't seen before. And I can believe that as well. Absolutely.
The hybrid theory, I like the hybrid theory for sure.
Yeah. For sure.
So is that you're leaning towards the hybrid theory? Both of you, or?
Alien hybrid. I'm still alien 100%, but alien hybrid, I'm a little more comfortable with that.
Honestly, I start thinking about the djinn. I start thinking, holy shit, this is. I definitely lean towards demonic djinn, like something of that nature. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hybrids are definitely believable, but there's just something. All the little details just point right at it for me.
Yeah, I feel something more of the demonic Jinn can be demonic, you know, if you look at history. It's Jinn is really just a different
but say
a different culture
are
version,
like a broad because some demons aren't actually demons or this or that. They're just interpreted as demons, right? Because people are like, well, that's a demon, because it's just what a lot of people jump to immediately is, oh, demon. Well, that's not an alien, that's a demon. Like absolutely. What do you guys think?
And before in my life. Oh, that was you saying.
They sent me because I like they mentioned that it's like the face that everybody sees, but I don't even relate.
See, I've never seen him. I have like horrible nightmares all the time. Like when I smoke before bed, I usually don't dream, which is great because I just have fucked up dreams all the time. And I remember them very vividly. I always feel like I can die. Like, I feel like I'm dying in dreams. Like, I can feel it. Like, it's very awful. Like, and I've tried, like, melatonin and all those little things. So I'm just like, I don't need to add some guy with no face to my repertoire of asshole dreams.
Is the Hat Man just a shadow person, but like a hierarchy of the shadow people? Who knows?
Who knows? It's unexplained.
Maybe we'll have to touch into the hymn at some point on our Thicc and Spooky Ghouls podcast.
We'll get there.
We'll get shadow people, the Hat Man and the Dream Man.
There's a whole website on him. It's someone that people have seen all their dreams, have all seen that particular man. No one had really
had
a bad feel to him. He just observing from what people say. If I dream of him, I'm
sorry, Jax. Jax is all like, I'm going to have nightmares.
When I did research, when I looked into sleep paralysis, I always found sleep paralysis to be very fascinating.
Yes.
I'm always scared that I'm going to make it happen to myself, because it's happened to a lot of people where they've they never even really thought about it or anything, and then they talk with somebody about their sleep paralysis, and all of a sudden they get sleep paralysis, and I'm like, la 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 la, push it out, la 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 la. Because the way I will have a panic attack, bitch, I will freak the fuck out. No.
But would you have the one where you're visually hallucinating as well, or just the part where you can't move?
Any of them. There's some people that have the double trouble. Even some people that have smell and stuff, and I'm like, that would make me absolutely, again, I would disappear into dust. I would just I'd be so scared. I would just poof. I would just ascend immediately.
My recurring horror dream is you're trying to get away from someone, and no matter where you go, they're just right there, and they know exactly where you're at. That's my recurring dream more so.
I don't have recurring dreams anymore. I used to.
Oh, lucky.
I used to have recurring dreams, recurring nightmares, and then eventually I was able to start doing lucid dreaming, and I love dreams. You talk to me, you talk to me about dreams forever, but I don't have them too much anymore. I have them once in a while, and then as soon as I do, I sit down with some of my translation notes, and I look to see, okay, what kind of dream it is what category do I put it into, because I personally have categories of dreams.
I'm very I wish we could know what dreams are. I wish we knew what dreams are.
I think that's something we're probably never gonna know.
I think they're different things. I think that there are different things. That there are dreams like the doctors say. There's dreams that are, things that you're interacting with on a spiritual level. Yeah, there's all kinds of different levels of what dreams are. In my opinion.
Repetitive dream wise, I have some that are PTSD related, right? Real life stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the only reoccurring dream that I can think of off the top of my head that was not at least as far as I'm aware, consciously based off of something that I had experienced in real life or something like that, is a dream of my dead mother in a red room holding my own head and saying the seventh moon. And I had that dream for on and off for 2 or 3 months back in I don't know, 2019, 2018, something like that. And then I haven't ever had it again. So I don't know what the fuck that was. And that's the only reoccurring dream I've had. And I'm like, okay, let's not do that ever again, please. Nothing like that. Please, please. But recurring dreams are, at least if they're nightmares, just awful. I don't feel like a lot of people talk about good reoccurring dreams. So.
That's fair.
All right, guys. Anything else you want to add? Anybody?
Not memorable.
Right, no. Huh.
Thank you for sharing on the Black-Eyed Children. If you guys are interested,
yes, that was amazing.
There's a book that's going to be up for the raffle if you donate during me. So
yeah, donate.
Get your
donations in. Get a chance at the book.
Get it in there so you can get a chance at a book, so you can learn more about the Black-Eyed Children. Epic. Very amazing series. But seriously, thank you, Epic. That was so much fun.
I'm going to reach out to David Weatherly and see if I can get him as an interview guest down the road on my show.
Oh, that would be crazy.
So thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for having me talk on a topic that I I'm truly intrigued about. And
that's why when I heard you, like, hey, have you heard of the Black-Eyed Children? I'm like, yes, but if you
Well,
know,
yes,
do you
I
want to talk
have.
about them in my podcast?
As a
little
matter
bit,
of
a little
fact.
most of the stuff that I said tonight is stuff that I just knew. I just had to make notes so I could keep it all in order.
Yeah. Completely different way of thinking, but like it works. It works. There's no right way to do this, in my opinion. Like I have my way, which is specific.
Everybody's
to
got
me.
a different mind.
Right.
and the way
Absolutely.
they work.
Absolutely.
Like, I know that we have someone that is going to talk about a personal experience and probably some other stuff, but like for me, it's just like people just. So I just think it's really, really cool that
So
I like
Britt
the way
said,
people take different
yes.
notes.
So Britt says, every like 5 years, I have the same dream on the same day. It's about to come up. I'm on a bus riding down a hill, end up in an old ruin with beautiful little fountain, and everyone that has died in my family that is there this year includes my uncle. Interesting.
Oh, wow.
Do you interpret that as something like you're actually being visited, like it's some kind of like
just a visit from them?
Yeah, like a family reunion, even.
That's
wow.
That's
but
cool.
in the
That's
cool. Ethereal plane, ethereal.
Ethereal.
I love that. I love hearing stories
words,
about people's
better
dreams.
words than me.
I love hearing. Yeah, dreams are fascinating. Is one of my when it comes to. I don't really call dreams paranormal, but they sometimes are.
They stress me out.
It's one of my favorite things to talk about.
Well, I don't think it's paranormal, but supernatural. Yes. 100%.
Sleeping, everything about sleeping stresses me out.
Dreams, dream interpretations, dream visitations, all of that
out.
stuff. It's one of my favorite topics, period. If you guys ever cover that, let me know.
See, I've never gone to like anyone to have them interpreted because I'm like, I don't really want to fucking know. I gotta be honest with you. Like that seems pretty fucked up. I don't want to dip into that. Like
I mentioned Rosemary Ellen Guiley. She has a great book, a couple great books on dreams, and they're a good stepping stone. There's a lot more to it than what she puts in there.
I'll have to get her name from you because I'm gonna forget it. Yeah. I'm bad with names, but especially if they have any audiobooks. Oh my fucking goodness. Mojo, thank you. I don't know why my alert didn't go off, but thank you so much, Mojo.
Thank you, guys. Hopefully you guys had fun at karaoke. Mojo was probably singing her heart out and probably made a bunch of people melt, which is
everyone
typical.
in her karaoke is always just slaying it too.
Yeah,
like
but we're
just
happy to have you guys
it.
here. We just finished talking about the Green Children of Woolpit and then Black-Eyed Children, and now we're moving on to Miso's topic.
Yes. So, does anyone have anything else about the Black-Eyed Children or their thoughts? Oh, that's amazing, Mojo. I love watching streams with you and your mama.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to read the stories about them, it's crazy. If you guys just want to read a personal story about the Black-Eyed Children, like one of them saw his entire life go across his mind, and it ended with cancer, and then came back to right before he encountered them.
Not a nightmare at all.
Nope.
No.
But maybe someday. Maybe.
Do not let them in.
Don't let them in. Do not let them in.
I don't know what I would do.
Don't let them in your vehicle. Don't let them in your home.
If they came to my door and I opened it and they're like, please, and it was the creepy, I'd have that creepy vibe in the back of my head. But I also oftentimes, when I've come across some paranormal stuff in the past that's physical, tangible, my brain goes into like primal mode where I'll bare my teeth and my voice will drop octaves and I'll be like, I'm not sure how I would.
But you also feel that cold streak on the back of your neck that you feel like something's touching the back of your neck and not there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go into fight or flight. I don't know what I would do, or if I would challenge them and be because I'd be curious. I'd recognize them and be like, "You're Black-Eyed Kids." Okay, I want to know more.
You ever seen Scary Movie 2 where the bitch is crawling out the TV and she oh, that would be me. I'd be beating the shit out of some kids, bro.
I hate that scene still to this day. Every time I see anything static, I'm like, nope, can't look at it. Permanently traumatized by the ring.
I love Scary Movie 2. Your TV's leaking. I would beat the shit out of those kids. I would fight the shit. I'd be like, dude, does mace affect your black eyes? Because we're going to find out. We're going to be finding out today. right now.
Right.
But
Yeah.
hello, Raiders. Thank you so much for choosing us. Sorry about that. We are doing a charity event for the AIM Youth Mental Health. The Black Collar Collective. We are doing this is the third year. I'm backwards. Everything's backwards. Hello. But yes, we are already at like, what, God, 1,500? What are we at?
My goodness,
1,540.
we're at 1,540 out of
Wow.
1,700, you guys. That is
And-
amazing.
Yeah, it's for an amazing cause. If you're from Mojo's channel, then you already are very well versed in mental health, because we know Mojo is amazing and she's always doing wonderful streams for mental health awareness. This is in particular raising awareness and funds and things to bring resources to children and their mental health, because we all know how important and impressionable children are. And I know most of us, I'm sure, would have benefited for a lot more of that, because I feel like it's definitely now being dived into more. A lot more things are being done and discussed, and intervention is happening a lot more often, and which is amazing. We just got to keep that going. But without further ado, anything else, guys?
You want to pre-roll an ad before we go to the next topic?
I have them off, baby.
Oh, okay.
They can
Well, I
suck
need
it.
potty
If you need a
break.
break, though, we can do a potty break.
I need a potty
Let's
break.
go ahead and
please.
roll the video then, guys. And go ahead and get your potty breaks, get your drinks, get your vapes. I love you guys. And go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and plug AIM real quick. So one thing I do want to say, that if you guys donate during my slot now or Vulgar Face's slot at noon Eastern Standard Time, you will be entered into a separate raffle just for me and him to win a $50 gift card for Steam. So donate. Every donation helps. Everything is amazing. Thank you, Epic. And it means so much. But yes, we're going to be right back, guys. We're going to watch this informative video on AIM. Thank you. We'll be right back.
We have a huge crisis in our country with mental health. 20 to 25% of youth are suffering with some sort of mental disorder. Mental health challenges don't just affect the person who has them, it of course affects the whole family as well as the community.
We see a lot more anxiety disorders now in kids and adolescents than before. The World Health Organization some years ago predicted a 50% increase in depression and anxiety and other psychiatric disorders in kids by 2020. Some 22% of adolescents and kids have a psychiatric disorder of some kind. Only about 20% of those actually get treatment.
Mental health problems really start early. They don't just crop up out of the blue when you're 20 or 30 or 40. It's really starting from the very earliest stages of development that we can intervene. We're beginning to develop new strategies for understanding what's the biological basis of anxiety disorder, but a whole host of different mental health problems that come from the earliest stages of development that will lead us to better treatment so we can help more kids achieve their full potential.
And treatments are available, but there's an urgent need to develop more tailored treatments that we know will be effective for each young person in their own context.
So many young people who appear for treatment have mixtures of problems. They're not just depressed, they're not just anxious, and so we need treatments that span an array of different problems. This is one area where I think AIM makes a very important contribution, sort of speaking out, advocating for young people, and really normalizing mental health challenges, and in the process reduce the stigma.
AIM has done an excellent job of putting together a scientific advisory board of the absolute top experts in the field, which creates a very open culture for science.
Hi guys, welcome back. All right, we are moving on. Can someone please refresh my memory on who is after me? Just so I have it on the side. Since I have Discord up over here. Actually, I have it on my phone, but if somebody could put it up over here before.
Crunchy Bite? Crunch Bite?
Okay. I'll need to copy and paste his name more than likely, but anyway, so hi everybody. Hopefully everybody got their snackaroonies and their drinkaroonies. So we are going to be moving on to the God, I love mini M&Ms.
Oh yeah, I have some of those too.
I like the texture of the mini ones. Don't get me on a tangent about M&Ms, because I'll do it.
We'll show on M&Ms.
Right, I'll do it. I'll spiral. But no, we would never do that, Jex. Anyway, so we are doing some more creepy kids. My creepy little kids are changelings. Ooh. So how many of you have heard of changelings? I feel like a lot of people have. If you've seen some shows, sometimes they're in there. But real quick, there is going to be a little trigger warning. Actually found in my research, I was very, very surprised how well this intertwines with children's mental health, like specifically. It's very strange, and I did not even like know that going into it, so that's why I found that very cool, very interesting. But it's also going to be a trigger warning for mentions of child abuse and infanticide. Okay, a little bit heavy, so you know, if that's something that's going to upset you, it's not going to be super gory. I'm not, you know, there's no like super crazy details. It's just, it's mentioned. All right, it is part of it. So let's get into it. Happy faces, creepy kids for the kids, yay!
For the chillin',
for the kids. So changelings.
I'm excited.
Yes. Oh my God, they're so weird.
Oh. It's weird how we're all tying together in a sense. It's pretty fun.
You're going to be like, holy shit, because both of your topics and the topic of the charity all go with changelings. It's very strange. But changelings, they can be found mostly through like European folklore, right? We hear a lot about them in pop culture. I've seen them on like Supernatural and things like that. They were more of like their own species in that, and we'll kind of touch on that. And in pop culture, they are mostly their own like species. But in general, they're described as like human-like creatures who are left as stand-ins for humans, most often children, but sometimes adults too. And the supernatural beings, and this is where it differs from like a pop culture kind of view. In mythos, the lore, they are usually left by different creatures, and they're not their own species. So changelings are babies of creatures left by fairies, demons, trolls, other such fae creatures, you know, that would transform their children with like, what's the word I'm looking for? Glamours. They would put glamours on their children, spells to make them look like whichever child or person, you know, adult that they were about to take. And this starts, like, a lot of the information I found particularly pertain to Irish and Scottish folklore, heavily on the Irish. Kind of. European. I get too punchy. Sorry. Anyway, Irish folklore.
Sorry.
I was reading the chat. So fairies are said to have, like, a really hard time birthing children. Okay, and those that do survive are often deformed or unattractive. And a lot of fairies are very, like, petty. They're very, like, they love beautiful things. They love beauty. Specifically, especially heavily in Irish folklore, it focuses very heavily on, like, beautiful children. You don't want to have beautiful children, but their children would often be deformed or just, like, sickly, and they would not be able to keep them alive on their own, or they just didn't want them because they're like, ugh. So they would then take their children and exchange them for human children. And these kids, the human children, would be taken for three general reasons. Act as slaves or servants, to receive love from human children, literally just to love them, or for revenge or malice. So like a human pissed them off, you disrespected them, I'm taking your kid, it's gonna be my slave now, type of deal. Now let me go, I actually meant to show a picture already, my bad. Let me see here. So the first picture, nope, that's not it. There you are. So this is the first picture. Let's see here. So this is a demon swooping in and swapping a baby. And then we have our fairies. We have different photos from different texts. This is also a fairy baby. As I said, a lot of them were like, had deformities or looked, you know, they didn't look right.
Saying that they didn't look like Tinkerbell? What the hell?
They did not look like Tinkerbell. Did not look like Tinkerbell. Let me see. Okay. Oops. That was the last one. But yeah, that's a lot of fairies though. Very heavily on the fairies in the lore. Let me see here. Children, like I said, that were most at risk for being taken were those that were, and we hear this in a lot of lore for a lot of different reasons and creatures, unbaptized. Unbaptized babies. Just, they'd be getting snatched like you wouldn't believe, right? All kinds of lore. But even in this, unbaptized babies are those that were overly coddled or beautiful. Like I said earlier, fairies were said to be very aesthetic, very like, you know, we want beauty, we want beautiful kids, and they thought human children, if they got them, raised them to be fairies, essentially, they would have that beauty. And their kids either were dying or just didn't fit up to that standard, so. And even though they were said to have glamours and like enchantments, there were signs sometimes that the children had been replaced by changelings. They would appear to be sickly, right? And like you said earlier, and like I was talking about on Doku's topic, green skin, you know, they would just look sick. They'd be very like thin-skinned. And some of them had some really obvious flaws when you got past the glamour, because some people can see past glamours, right? It just depends on the mythos and whatnot. But some of them had long beards or long teeth, which is like kind of a red flag that it's like, hey, my baby all of a sudden it was a beautiful baby and now he has the beard of a 40-year-old man. That's weird. That's a little sussy. I don't know if that's right. They're very smart. They're very smart, very cunning. What? Oh God. Were you gonna say something?
No, my beard.
Oh no! Oh my God! All right, now go crawl in a crib.
No.
Yeah,
but
I'm probably a fairy before they got kidnapped because I'm so.
You'll probably cover this later.
Stop it!
Like they also don't live much longer after, right?
Yes, although some of them absolutely. Some of them die because they're already dying, or they are elderly fairies, or ones that are like dying anyway, and they're like, okay, go spend your last time suckling off some lady. Like they love suckling. It's sick. They're sickos. Real sickos over here, stealing babies and suckling milk.
I mean, if I could, I guess.
But see, oh, see, we gotta get him out of here. He's a fairy. We knew it.
You're a changeling?
He's actually an adult fairy.
Are you trying to find your way back home and that's how you got into this career path?
Dun dun. That's how he knows so much.
Oh my.
Dun dun.
Makes sense. Sus.
You found
Very
me.
sus.
On
ya. We're on to you.
Let's see. He's gonna steal our kids.
Nah, I'm not interested in that.
I'm like, I don't want him.
No kids, but the suckling, I'm down for.
Suckling. Yes. Bring me the sucklings.
Where is Octavius? I can't believe he hasn't been summoned by the suckling.
I know.
I thought that would get him immediately.
Hold on, we're missing one thing. Hold on, we're missing one thing. We gotta spam this real quickly. I think it's how you summon him. Hold on.
Oh,
You just
Lord.
gotta spam it. And
No,
I think
you know what? You're right.
I think it summons him.
You're not wrong. You ain't wrong. That's how I summon them. Let's see here. More poo in the face than the average guy. Yeah, he does. God damn it, Kortra. Kortra has added so many ridiculous quotes. He has taken like all my quotes,
Stop
and they've all been
saying them.
awful. I have two.
Saying them.
I
Just
think
stop
I
saying
can't. I can't. I think he's taken 2 other quotes for me, and they have just been awful. Like hilarious, but just awful. Out of context, I'm not about babies, but I'm all about the suckling. Oh no. Yeah, oh, it's dark. I bet I can rob the doctor, is what I said. And the other one was, I don't want to shit on your guys' religion or nothing, but your church fucking sucks. So it's been quite the time for Miso and her quotes here. Anyway, thank you, Kortra. I appreciate you. So they obviously have those red flags, right? Some of them, depending on the person, right? If you can see past the glamours and not, which is pretty rare. They may even display intelligence beyond like normal children, right? Again, sometimes it's not always babies, changelings. Like they can be adult fairies or like older fairies, you know, stuff like that. I'll touch a little bit more on that later. And I think, especially Epic, probably, and I'm sure you have heard this too, especially with your knowledge of fairies and different fays and like, you know, stuff like that. Iron, charms, stuff like iron scissors, knives can be used to ward off like a lot of different. We summoned Octavius. It worked. Oh my god, it worked.
No.
It totally worked.
It worked.
It wasn't Epic typing a message to Octavia saying, "Where are you? You better be here now."
I would never do such a thing.
Exactly, Britt. They do. Damn it. In my headcanon, it worked. Our boobas summoned Octavius, as they do, as they should.
That's what we're gonna believe, is it was the boobas that summoned Octavius.
That's
I
right.
want to believe in the boobas that hard. It wasn't Epic. Epic, don't take this.
That's
from
right.
us.
No. La la la.
I'm sitting right. You're in front of me. You'd see me going. And my Discord's over here. If I was messing with you, right?
I have to look at his keyboard and his
like
screen.
that.
It was the cutest thing ever.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Let's go. You're so adorable. Ooh, okay.
But
so let's get it together.
Yeah, anyway, so you could just put an open pair of iron rusty ass scissors next to your baby, or some like other iron next to your unbaptized beautiful Irish babies, you know, so that the fairies don't come take them and, you know, suckle. So suckle, I can't stop saying suckle.
Is that why it's hard to find, like there's less people with red hairs because the Fae stole all of them?
My god.
They stole all the redheads and left us with very, very few. How
I mean,
rude.
I would if I were them.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's
That's fair.
Don't even get me started on redheads. Oh. We will detour all over the place. I'm so easy to detour.
Fun fact, apparently the Fae believe that the hair color is red. Not blonde, not brunette. It is the redheads.
They did love
I mean, let's
blonde.
be honest. You're the one that brought up suckling.
Suckling. Suckle. God, this is going to be such a weird podcast episode.
Everyone prefers, it pretty much means everyone prefers redheads, Britt. That's what that means. The Fae have made that so.
It's funny that we did mention hair color, though, because I didn't put it in here because I was just trying to, you know, cut some little bits out, but they did, in the Irish lore specifically, mention blonde hair, blue eyes. They love blondes. They love, you know, the typical European, that very European.
I still blame them for
but redheads are much better. I'm a blonde. I'm allowed to say that. Okay, I have all those things. Redheads are superior. I love red hair. Anyway, so fairies would also take newly married and new mothers. They'd take the newly married women to marry, I guess it didn't specifically say women, but newly married, but, you know, a lot of the other stuff speaks of women, so I have to assume. And they would marry fairies instead of the human spouses. And we had talked about this for the same reason that they replaced the babies in the human realm. They would take new mothers for the same to nurse fairy babies, though, in their realm. So instead of replacing the baby, they would simply take the mother and use her to nurse their sickly children. Not a lot of information about what they did with them afterwards. I'm assuming they would probably do servantry and stuff, because when they did take an adult, what they would do, and I thought this was very funny until the end of it at least, they would take things like a log, planks, like a plank, and they would charm them, glamour them, and make them look like a baby. Or not a baby, I'm sorry, a person, like the adult that they're taking, and they would put that plank in the place of the adult person. That adult person, that plank, would appear to be getting sick and then die. And the family would bury this log, and they would keep the human living amongst the fairies forever, because they would kill them off with a plank. And
they probably fed them food and turned their skin green. Gave them some fava beans or some shit.
What I said, like, do you think that the baby fairies would suckle off of the humans, and then the fairies would become human because it's human food?
Got a lot of suckling in this episode.
Oh my god, my mind is blown. Apparently, us summoning the boob summoned other brain cells to come back out. Shit.
Sorry.
Perfect. Beautiful. We love you.
So I'm just catching up on chat here. Red is considered powerful magically in the Fae realm. However, people discover religion, redheads. Yeah, I was about to say, Brett, that is true. Religion definitely had a part in the dwindling of the redhead population, unfortunately.
Also, it's weird because you guys are basically saying that my BSing earlier was actually pretty accurate, kind of. I'm just,
and who knows what could have been changed? You know what I mean, lore-wise, by different hands. So
also, the Vikings, when the Vikings raided, they would prefer to pick up and kidnap the redheads from the Celtic regions.
You guys, really?
Yikes! Yikesy doodle dandies.
Rude. Just rude.
So, and again, this is a very broadly believed thing in a lot of Europe. So we also have it in medieval Scandinavia folklore. But instead of fairies, it was trolls. And they considered being raised by humans to be more respectable than being raised by their own kind. They found it to be more of an honor. They found it to be more like high class, even. Therefore, they would glamour their children, just like fairies, and switch them out. And just like the Irish lore, you see a lot of crossover between the different regions, you know, and their beliefs, but they would also take unbaptized babies. You better fucking baptize your babies, y'all. God damn it.
The green children of Woolpit were baptized immediately when they were taken by Knight. What's his name? Sir Richard.
Baptism. Again, I'm telling you, the linking of things is crazy. And again, just like the Irish lore and a lot of different, I find like with the Jinn, the Fae, that iron thing is super universal. And with that kind of loops everything back up to what Epic was saying. And again, that kind of blew my mind. I'm still over here racking my brain about the Jinn because I'm spiraling. I'm going down the rabbit hole. I'm seeing all the similarities. Right. I'm freaking out, man. I'm freaking out. But again, they would put iron scissors or iron knife atop any unbaptized baby's cradle, which seems like a super good parenting idea. Super great. So, and it was said that parents could actually force the return of the children by cruelly whipping or even inserting the changeling troll baby into an oven. And that would upset the troll parents, and they'd be like, okay, please stop beating the fucking shit out of our child and trying to cook them. You can have your baby back.
Boarding school basically said, get your kids or we're taking them to jail. And parents had to get them from boarding school and take them back. Or the boarding school.
Yeah. And this is one of the images of said a troll changing out a baby.
She looks like the hag.
Oh, wrong one. Boop, boop. That's not yet. But so we also have the Anglo-Scottish border area has lore with changelings that has a pretty fucked up detail in particular, which I'll get back to here shortly. Their lore, like the others, is fairies or elves, and that they could spirit away children and adults and take them back to the Elfheim. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The Elfheim. It's aka the land of the light of elves. Elfheim. Elfheim.
Elfheim.
I say Elfheim.
Thank you. Yeah,
Elfheim,
you guys
right?
know I can't say words. That's what you guys are here for. You say my words.
I saw
Say my
Elfheim, but
words.
that's like the Norse term.
No, yeah, you're probably saying it way better than I am. Trust me. But that detail that stuck out to me for this one, and why I include this one out of all the other ones, is because when they change out the baby changeling with a changeling, the baby is often not a baby fairy, but an adult male elf or fairy. Almost all the time with them that wants to suckle on the mom. Here we go. We're right back to suckling. I don't know how we keep getting back here, but they love it. The fairies and the elves, they just love just suckle.
We're not called the thick and spooky ghouls for nothing.
No.
That's what I'm saying. We don't have heart emotes specifically that kind of bring it
For
back
boobas.
to it. I'm just saying.
And the smile epic gets every time I talk about suckling is just very funny. So I thought that was very creepy. You just I'm picturing like a gnome looking man, full beard, just like goo goo gaga, definitely not a baby. And you're like, that baby looks fucked up. What's wrong with you? Yeah. What's wrong with your baby, bro? He's looking a little like a man, like an adult man. Remember that picture you showed us of the one family whose name is escaping me with the blue skin? That kid, he was a changeling. That's why he had that face. That's why he had that man face, because he was a whole ass man. He was a changeling, okay? So the human baby,
the few gates for those of you guys that were wondering.
Thank you, few gates. But the human baby would grow up being treated really well by the fairies, in this folklore in particular, and they could be warded off not just by iron, but also specifically with different herbs, salves, and seeds. And it was said in order to force these changelings to reveal itself, it had to be tricked into either talking or laughing. There was also said that some of them, when you would look away or look out of the room, these ones in particular, because they were grown men, they would start singing with an instrument and having a jaunty fucking time and dancing around when they were alone. So you could catch them, you could bust in and they'd be like, doo 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 doo. And and you'd be like, wait a minute, that's not a baby. That's a man. That's a man.
No.
A real man.
So
Sorry.
we got Titty Ditty. We got Titty's Titty. God damn it, Cortra. Now that's a quote. God damn. Ooh. Yes, guys. Don't forget we're doing donos.
Guys. We're doing really good right now.
You guys are having fun. Go and donate.
Yes, it's for the children.
It's for the children.
It would make you laugh.
Changelings.
You should donate.
No,
help those children.
It's sad because we were talking about changelings, and I'm like, that kid that has the memes all the time where it's this little kid, but he looks like a grown man, and it's always it's usually used for when you're eating burgers and your girlfriend says she's full and you're like, wait, who are you eating with? But that little meme of that child boy, you know what I'm talking about?
That child boy.
He looks down and then he looks up and then he looks at the camera again. I don't know what the name of the meme is, but
me either.
He looks like his face is very much like an older man. Not an older man, but a way older than his body shows.
Right.
His face is small, but it's very adult.
I mean, and again, it's crazy to me. Can you imagine being one of the only people in your town that isn't tricked by glamour, and you walk into your neighbor's house and there's a grown man sucking on her, and you're just like, oh honey, what the fuck happened to Timmy? He looked like he had a growth spurt. He don't look right. Like, I think something's wrong with your son. And, like, they see this beautiful child, and it's really, like, a grown elf man. It's, what a, ooh.
Okay, so I found the meme. I'm gonna give it to you guys in a private message for here. But apparently this, know your meme. It's Hezbollah Mugomedov is what it shows, and it's the little, I'll show you the picture. Hold on, I'm trying to function. Please hold.
Me too.
But you guys, please check out the AIM charity. If you can't donate, then share the train. Be here for the train, even if you just have it tabbed. It all helps, seriously. But if you can donate, you can be entered into a raffle for games. If you donate 50 or more at once, you can be entered for a Kindle 8 HD or a pair of very nice Ray-Ban sunglasses. And then me and Vulgarface, for our slots, are also giving away a $50 Steam gift card to anyone that donates. So please, get in there, donate, help the kids. It's for such a good cause, and you could win something. It's very likely with how many prizes there is. So, oh, right. Did you find it?
I posted it. Yeah, I posted it in the threads here on the Discord.
Oh, I can't even open it. That's right. I'll have to look at it later, but...
Oh, man.
Hold on, I have it on my phone. I wanted to show it, but I don't want to, like, fuck up the screen.
But yeah, that's why whenever you're mentioning changelings and how they look like children, but their faces are like more mature or older, this kid popped up in my head, and I'm like, oh boy,
oh god,
I'm going to hell.
I'm going straight to hell.
No,
that's a man. That's a grown man, honey.
Oh, okay.
That's Hala Bula.
I couldn't figure out how to say him.
He's a little
he's
shit.
Actually a man.
He's a little piece of shit.
I thought
we're
not
going to get into that.
So that's why. Okay, sorry.
So did Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson thought that was a little kid, and he gave him raspberries on a talk show, and it was very awkward, because that's a grown man, honey. That's a grown-ass man. And Mike Tyson thought it was a baby, so it was very funny, not funny. So go watch that at some point if you want to be awkwardly traumatized.
I'm broken. I am broken now.
You're welcome.
So what you're saying is he's a changeling.
He's a changeling.
That's what I thought would be it. When she mentioned like it comes out with a beard, I'm just like, oh, and this guy popped up in my brain because I thought it was a kid.
I thought that's who you were talking about, but I was like, no, she said it was a kid, not a man. But no,
I didn't know. Okay, I don't know my meme, you guys. I would lose in that game very badly.
I probably do really well, which is bad because I am chronically online. But so anyway, so where were we? Okay, so creepy little men suckling. That's where we were. That's right, little elf men. So in Poland, there is something called a mamnwa, Baganiki. It's Slavic. It's a Slavic spirit. I'm gonna go ahead and show the picture of her. I can't pronounce things, so you know everyone can just suck it.
You're amazing.
If you don't like
Shut
it.
up.
So this is her, lovely, wonderful me crawling out of bed. You know what I'm saying?
Very pretty though,
and
in
she
a weird
is.
way.
Well, she is like a, you know, I get the mothery spirit. Like, she's a Slavic spirit, but that is her. And she would exchange babies, leaving changelings. But they would be more noticeably different in appearance than a lot of, like, the fairies or the trolls. It didn't seem like they used the glamours as well, or they just didn't use them at all. I'm not sure. But they would immediately pretty much notice that the abdomen was different, or like unusually large, distended. They had like weirdly small heads with like thin arms and legs and hairy bodies and long claws. So these are pretty obvious when you have a human baby and all of a sudden you have this, whatever that is. So it's not as sneaky as the fairies, that's for sure. And in this one's very different on how they would protect their children, compared to the iron and the herbs and the seeds. They would do theirs with red ribbon, and they would tie it around their baby's wrists. They would also have them wear red hats, and they would also keep their children out of the moonlight. And I thought that was very interesting because that's very, very different.
Vampiric almost, in a sense.
I feel like I've heard, and I can't put
There's
my finger
also
on
the red
The
string
red.
theory. There's a Japanese
Yeah.
red string theory but that's relating to soulmates and stuff.
Well, I would say I've heard, not that one in particular, I've heard of other, I feel like I've heard other things pertaining to the color red in general. Like the color red with the supernatural, but I just can't, I meant to dive more into that, you know how it is, I just didn't get to it, but I thought that was very strange. They also would do things like not washing the baby's diapers after sunset, and not turning, which is gross and rashy as fuck, and never turn your head away from your baby as it slept. If a baby was replaced with a changeling, it was believed that they could take the changeling to a midden, which was an old-timey compost dump. They would put like scraps of food and things here. And the midden, at that location, they could whip the changeling with a birch stick, pour water from an eggshell over it while shouting, "Take yours, give mine back." And usually this would cause the mamma to feel sorry for their child and return the human baby to save their own. So basically, just like in that is another similar to the one European one, is that you would just beat the shit out of this poor changeling until they were like, okay, Jesus Christ, take it back. You could have him. God, what is wrong with you? Like, we're gonna show you who the real monster is, motherfucker. Oh, take my baby.
Wait,
Yeah,
my brain
take
just
it
went to a
back.
different place. You know, like how that just brought me to the place where in the Bible it mentions the baby that was being fought over by two women and one was willing to get the child cut in half and whatever. And I'm like,
Right.
what if that was a human and a fae lady fighting?
I'm gonna say it's very possible, especially because it was such a. It seems very it's so prevalent. Like fays and fairies are like insanely deep lore in Europe, especially like Ireland and stuff. Like it's kind of it's there's too much. It's too deep to not be something. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
But and I think a lot of people, and I feel like Doku has even mentioned this before. There's a lot of folklore in Europe where they said that they needed human milk to survive, fairy children, and that would lead them to swap, fairies to swap children for changelings, just so that their children could survive. And that is also why they would kidnap the nursing mothers.
Now you're telling me that fae treat us like cows.
Yeah, they love suckling.
Wow.
They don't care if they're
We're
getting
nothing
their
but
suckles.
just cattle for them to milk. I get it.
Literally. That or to do their servitudes, Well, I mean, I guess there was some fae, like I said, that like they literally just wanted to love the children, but the fact that they would they knew that they, like you said, a lot of times their children were gonna die. Like they died in the human world after a while because they were sickly and stuff, and that's why, or they were, they would give them up because they're ugly, but they would still die in the human world because they just weren't gonna make it, and it's really fucked up, that they would be down for that. So they're not like the nicest, even if they're like, oh, I just want to love you. It's like, but why would you give up your own baby? Why'd you do that though? Pretty fucked up. But I feel like a lot of times we grew up with fairies being these cute little like, oh, you're so adorable and nice, but they're really dark. They get pretty fucking brutal. When I was in the hospital after having my oldest nugget, they referred to me as I would fucking
Yeah, like
look at me in my eyes, Bentley. I would fucking rip
Raging.
their throats out for you. I would destroy. They would be escorting me out like a little, like they'd be picking me up, like, come on now, my little legs, my little short ass kicking and thumping my viennas. I'd be pissed.
Let's be
questioning a lot of
monkey.
things
how
tonight.
smart would that be though for fae to be hanging out pretending to be nurses at places
Absolutely.
like
And there is like a lot of
Adapt.
nurses
So-
that there's a lot of
They
nurses
had
that
to
kidnap
adapt.
children. Yeah. Well, there's also, if you think about, there's a lot of humans, and I didn't get into this because I didn't want it to go on too long, but there's a lot of humans that make
You
deals.
got time, baby.
they make deals. Well, still have plenty. But I make deals. There's a lot of not me, no kids here, but there's a lot of people that make deals to swap children. Even if they don't have children, they would go and kidnap children, babies in particular. They would be like, if you bring us a human child of these parameters, we will make your dreams come true, and we'll
make
give
you
you this
rich
or that,
forever.
or give us your
cattle will
firstborn.
always be healthy, etc. Yeah.
And usually it goes wrong.
Yeah, there is someone. There's a show called Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
Or Once. There is a villain in there who's really good. He's from 28 Weeks Later. He's British. He's the one that they make deals with for their children.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes. Yeah. Very Rumpelstiltskin. Very. Yeah. So, but yeah, they were like, oh, we need booby milk. This all comes back to booby milk, and a lot of the times they need to suckle.
Model's also wearing a cow outfit, and now I'm just like,
moo.
Wow, we're just cattle to the fae, and I'm wearing it. Wow, I'm okay with that. Cows are cute. It's fine. I'm gonna be a cute cow. It's fine.
So, and Bishop, I did not finish watching it. Oh, let's see here. Boo. But yeah, and then we see a lot of the lore with the iron. So in the Cornwall, UK, there's even a famous formation of rocks called the Men and Toll, locally known as the Crick Stone. It consists of 3 upright granite stones, a round stone with a hole in it, like a donut. And then it has 2 stones on each side of it, like a 101, right? And it is supposed to have a fairy or pixie guardian who can make miraculous cures. Allegedly, in one case, a changeling baby was passed through the stone in order to have a real human baby return to its mother. And I have a little picture of that stock rock formation. Words. There it is. Little 101 there, little magic fairy portal right there.
Shot an arrow through that in Zelda Breath of the Wild. You know the bow and arrow challenges where you're supposed to hit all of them? Yeah, that's no.
You just stick your baby right through that hole. Boom. You got your baby back.
Wow.
But yeah, there's even a famous formation that is said to be guarded by a fairy or a pixie and has magic cures or can give you your baby back, I guess, if it's kidnapped by a change the changeling. And so this is mostly a European thing, but I did want to bring up one international example because there's other stuff, like there's shapeshifters, you got skinwalkers, you got doppelgangers that could be considered kind of like changelings, but they're not exactly the same. Most time it's not an exchanging of a baby for something else or an adult for something else. It's just like them taking over, right? And like killing most of the time, stuff like that. But in Nigeria, the Igbo people of Eastern Nigeria specifically, who believe that women who have lost multiple children or who are afflicted with multiple stillborns or like miscarriages were being tormented by something called an Ogbanji, which is an evil spirit that reincarnates itself over and over again. So instead of it being a creature replaced with a child, it's its own child, essentially. The spirit itself is taking over and killing the children to reincarnate, essentially. So they themselves were the changelings. But the reason why I included this one as opposed to doppelgangers and other ones internationally is because they even translate this word themselves in this area in their own dialect to English word changeling. That is how connected they are, and that's how much they see it as the same concept, is that it is a changeling. So I thought that was really cool. I liked seeing an example, kind of out of that European spectrum. But the fact that literally they call it a changeling themselves most of the time, as opposed to the Onbanji or like something like that, I thought was really cool. and also the fact, let's talk about the distance in that as well. But I mean, of course, there was you had your colonizers and things like that. So maybe they got the concept of the changeling, that word from them. But like the crossover is crazy to me. Again, we see this huge global influence of fays and things of that nature. And I think that's really, really cool. Anything to catch up on here?
No, not right now. Nothing really.
All right, so I also have some, and this is where I said it was very interesting of how much it connected to our charity event. This is where it gets a little heavy, guys. It's gonna get a little bit heavy here. So these are the real world ramifications of changelings. These tales had very real world ramifications, especially times of great struggle, famine, pre-industrial Europe, where peasants needed everyone to be able to work. Everyone had to be able to pull their weight. They had to be able to bring in income, food, labor, whatever. They had to bring something to the table in order for the family to survive. So when a child would be overly hungry, sickly, have developmental delays or physical issues, deformities, anything like that, people would say, my child's been replaced by a changeling. This is a threat to my family, to my existence, and this would very, very frequently lead to infanticide. A lot of times people would abandon their children in places like alleys, dumpsters. They found places with a lot of children abandoned. They found a lot of bones. And there's different things. Some are saying it's because of changelings. Some say it with brothel. There's a lot of, different things, but they know for a fact, it's been documented a lot about how the changeling theory was used to justify infanticide in times of struggle. Yeah. And we see this a lot with a lot of different creatures and around the world. So, and this happened a lot in instances, particularly in Ireland, that would lead to child neglect and abuse as well. There is an account from Sweden during World War II of a woman who was taken to court upon killing her child by putting it in the oven, believing it to be a changeling. She believed, there was one way to force the return of my child, and it's to put the changeling into the oven. We even have historical examples of adults being killed after being believed to be changelings. One such example was a woman named Bridget Cleary.
I know this case.
1895, burned to death by her husband. They think she was either burned to death or burned right after dying, but they're not sure. He stated his real wife had been abducted by fairies and replaced by changelings, who he then killed in order to force fairies to return his real wife. There was even an Irish nursery rhyme that came from the incident that goes, "Are you a witch? Are you a fairy? Or are you the wife of Michael Clary?" And as you can imagine, a lot of changelings were described as showing mental impairment, physical impairments, or cognitive issues. An unfortunate amount of children born, especially before modern medicine and the understanding of these issues, were things like Down syndrome, cystic fibrosis, cerebral palsy. All these things were used as labels as changelings. They tried things like baptisms, exorcisms, as well as just, again, abuse, infanticide. But specifically, there is a big, if you look into it, there is a big connection between autism and children being labeled as changelings or elf children due to their changes in personalities as they aged, or their traits that come with different autism spectrum disorders. This association might even play a part in explaining why fairies are often described as having obsessive impulses to count things like handfuls of spilled seed. And I could not, and after doing the research and with especially this event, like I said, crazy for it to be this event. And again, I know it's heavy, but I feel like that's so important that we take the time to think about what some of these things have real world implications. And a lot of the times we need to rule out things that come with being human, like mental illness, just being different, being on the spectrum, anything like that. So many different things just used. And again, I do understand to an extent people were starving in a lot of these times, right? And they would use any excuses they could to lighten that load if there was something they felt was bringing down them as a unit.
They even did it for like women.
Yeah,
like women.
Absolutely.
Witches, so they were burned. So,
and I just, again, especially with the mental health stuff, I couldn't in good conscience not talk about it and bring it up, because it's just it shows you. We're doing AIM Youth Mental Health Charity event right now. I thought it was really important to point out specifically and talk about, as things like the stories and beliefs in Changeling are directly linked to children, and more specifically their mental health. I feel like it shows how far we've come with mental health, especially in children. It shows what knowledge, resources towards understanding, and research and assistance to those kids with mental health struggles can do. We literally see it now in this day. When we put time, effort, resources into understanding and progressing these things, we can seriously improve the lives of those children and their futures, and the future as humanity as a whole. Look how far we've come. Children used to be killed because people thought they were changelings or they were different. And I feel like that is a pretty prime, if not dark, example of exactly why we are here raising money today. And it's very important. And that's just my little tidbit for the tie-in for mental health. And what are your guys' closing thoughts on that one? Again, I know, a little dark there at the end, but it's so important.
I mean, I expected it to be dark because they in
fairies.
general, like people, like because of the fact that Disney gave you the appearance that fairies look like Tinkerbell, people like some of the pictures of what fairies look like before, you'd be like, ooh, that's kind of demonic. Like the pictures or illustrations of fairies are very similar to like the illustrations of demons even. So for me, it's just crazy.
Well, and keep in mind that a lot of that stuff predates Christianity.
Yep.
So again, who's to say it's not one and the same?
For me, it's like, I feel like adult changelings are even more believable because they kill off the person, right? So like you would never know, because as far as you're aware, that person who was a piece of wood, died and you buried them or whatever, cremation, whatever. But I do feel like with, like we said, like the children and stuff like that, I feel like it's probably a mixed bag, right? Some of it's probably genuine mental health things, and some of it's probably unexplained. It could be any of these faith theories, absolutely, because these have to come from somewhere as well, right? Like not even necessarily changelings, but fairies, fays, that kind of thing. Like it all roots from somewhere. Do I know where? Fuck no. There's too many theories. I'm not knowledgeable enough. But it's just so interesting.
Like, even still to this day, there's places like Iceland where they actually like pass specific laws protecting specific areas that they respect as spaces for the Fae. So it's not like it's
taken very the fairies are taken very seriously in places like you said, Iceland. I want to say Norway, Ireland. Like they have like you said, laws. There's places that are protected. There's places that are like visited, and they give treats, milk, lots of milk, all kinds of milk, fairy bread, things like that. All kinds of interesting things, and I find it very interesting. The Milky Way. Oh, those magical udders. Back to suckling. Back to
somebody brought up the Tuatha Dan earlier, and I was like, we talked about that. You guys talked about that last month.
Yeah, we talked about the Celtic bovines last month, and we talked about the Milky Way.
Right.
Which I love that. I adored that was where we got the origins of the Milky Way. It's adorable. But
so if I post a link if I post a link in your chat, am I going to get timed out?
No, you should be good.
Okay. I just noticed that your donate is the last event. link.
Oh,
for
it did
donating.
do it. Hold on, let me do something real quick.
So there you go, guys. There's the new link. There's the current link for the
Try it now.
the event.
Oh, try it again. She just gave you mod privileges just now.
There you go. Because I don't know how to do it any other way. So now you're a mod. You're welcome. You moved up in the world, buddy.
There you go, guys.
Don't
There's
go
the
drunk
link.
with power. But yeah,
take it away
chat?
from me
What do you
afterwards
guys
if you want.
think? Even like with the heavy parts, do we see? What do we think? Do we think we see correlations between fairies and changelings? Do you think that was it that too? Do you think? I do. I mean, I think the thing about the compulsive, that's I think that's a very cool, interesting little detail.
That also reminds me of vampires. We talked about
Yes,
vampires
right.
earlier.
Rice,
Vampires
right?
have that whole, a lot of the ADHD, like.
That's in China specifically, vampires with rice. A lot of rice and stuff. Like you throw it down, they're like, "You son of a bitch! I hate you!
How dare you! I
motherfucker!"
can't disrespect the rice. Now I gotta pick it up.
I just picture the Count from Sesame Street, like one, like counting rice. You're like, "You fucker!" You're like, "Ha!"
I never thought about that. I never realized that correlation between the Count and the fact that he's a freaking vampire.
Yeah, buddy. 1 off. 2 off.
Oh my god.
Did we get a dono?
Let's take a look. Let me refresh. Oh no, I got rid of my link. No, I didn't. It's on my other screen.
You beautiful bitch. You're the beautifulest baguette of dick as I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you, Baguette. Wow, where are we at now?
1550.
Everyone laughing at your name when you've been in their rooms, by the way. I've been watching everyone that I've been awake for. And every time she comes in, they're like, Baguette and dicks. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. I do love it. What do you guys think, though? Why is it censored?
I like it. I always have liked the concept of changelings.
Am I tripping? Is it censored for everybody else?
It could just be that he put stars in on.
He might have done it intentionally.
Okay, but I say because it should not.
Which is what I
not the
sometimes
channel
do.
I have.
I wasn't going to say Robbie earlier, and then Britt's like, "Who?" And I'm all like, "Oh,
good job."
Yeah, I always like that. I like the thought of it. I was waiting for you to say use the term fetch. A fetch. Did you come across that term when you were researching?
No.
Yeah, there's a term called a fetch, which is kind of what is left behind. You talked about the log that got left behind.
Yeah.
Oftentimes that is referred to as the fetch, the thing that is left behind with the glamour over, and sometimes the fetch is referred to as whoever the duplicate is. The duplicate is the fetch, and the changeling is the one that did the swapping, or the other one.
The way I would be so mad if I got kidnapped by fairies and knew that I was replaced by a fucking plank that just gets buried.
Right?
I would be furious. I was like, really? And then you got to go suck a whole bunch of fairies. Like, this is some bullshit. Like, or go marry them, I guess, depending on what they're taking you for. But
I mean, if they look like Tinkerbell, I'm in.
Can we take a quick breather before we go into our just chatting segment of discussing everything weird?
Yes, of course, dear.
Do a quick breaker so I need to. I've been drinking a lot of liquids.
Absolutely.
Me
go
too,
on. I will
just
go. I will give a talk.
kind of liquids I've been drinking.
I will talk real quick about the event.
Perfect. Love you.
There you go.
I love you. All right, guys. So you guys know why we're here. We're getting close. We're getting closer and closer, my friends, to rating out. I believe the next person is Crunchbite.
Yes.
Now let me
I sent
switch
you I
screens.
posted the link for you in.
Yep, you guys get to
Discord.
stare at me real quick so I can go to Discord real quick and mess with this. But what did you guys think about that? That's some crazy shit, right? This whole podcast has been wild, and I love it. So many interesting connections, and I really do feel like the Fae are so prominent. But yes, we are here raising children. Raising children.
Raising
no, that's
children.
the Fae. That's the Fae. They're raising your children. We're raising money for the children, not the Fae. for youth mental health, which we know is so fucking important. It's really important that we get the resources and education out there for early intervention because, again, as someone who now and their whole life has struggled severely with mental health, and I mean that deeply, I feel like I really wish I would have, because like I said earlier, tying in with this, we've come so far with our education and progression of what we do for children and their mental health. It wasn't, even in the 90s when I was a kid, they didn't give a shit, right? Like, it really wasn't taken seriously, especially like autism and things like that. Like, they kind of just brushed it off. So it's just so important. So if you guys can donate or even hang out for the raid train, do anything you can to help during this event. And this link is live all month long. And then you can win prizes. So you can always get something out of it too. So get something out of it for the cause. Let me see where my screens are. Okay, welcome back, Beebs. So we are kind of transitioning here to our just chatting little segment. Yes, thank you, Epic.
This over a bit.
She just got to full screen her Discord.
Oh,
and she'll
yes,
be
thank
able
you.
to yeah, she just needs to full
Thank
screen.
you.
I'm like, I am fully screened.
There it is.
No, that was me. That was an oopsie.
Oopsie. It's okay.
Oopsie doodles.
So, what do you guys think? Do we have any closing thoughts on this? Any thoughts on fairies or anything that we want to discuss about this little tidbits here?
I think that the green children of Woolpit were changelings.
I think that's a very interesting theory. Do you think they were changeling as in, like, they were children of fays? Do you think they were fairies or trolls, or?
It could possibly be fae that was abandoned by their parents, hoping that some human will take care of them because they couldn't do it, and see if they could survive. It could be. Like I said, it's kind of weird how this always happens. So far, like when we've done podcasts, me and Miso just seem to be in the same wavelength because our topics are completely different, and we don't actually really research each other's topics. When she says I'm doing this, I do everything in my power not to read about that so that I'm surprised by what she presents me. But it's weird because every single time we always find a connecting thread or 20 or 30 in our topics. And it's just crazy when the topics also link up with your topic. So it's just even more so wowza.
And like she said, we don't even like talk about them really. And they've been kind of blended in with epics too. So it's like a crazy intertwine. Again, we go back to phase, we go back to Jin, and you really fucked me up with the Jin. Like, you kind of threw me off of everything. Because now I can't stop thinking about excuse me, I'm joking that you fucked me up. I can't stop thinking about Jin. Everything's a Jin. I'm just they again, that crossover is just insane. Yeah, and the feelings that they can produce and things like that, them in themselves could be very much like a glamour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and who's to say that they're not all the same thing? You know,
Train.
When you look at the correlations of aliens and fae and demons and jinn, like, they're all set. They all have very similar descriptions. They all have very similar things that they can do, capabilities, and they're all from different cultures describing the same thing. You know, the ancient Celtics, they didn't have Christianity. The Christianity, they weren't necessarily, you know, with the Arabian descent and that stuff that the jinn have. Or, you know, you look at aliens, all of that stuff is from a different mindset. And then when you look at all the little threads that connect them all, it's crazy how they all are related and could just be all the same thing.
Well, like you're saying, they're different worlds, but yet somehow there's these correlations that are just unexplainable. And I'm very much somebody that would like to explain most things, right? Like, I believe a lot of things do have answers, and humans are very creative, you know, but sometimes you just like, what the fuck? Like, what is that? Like, that's so strange. It's just too much. There's too much there to be
with a
so
bunch
easy.
of similarities with different cultures or different stories. The similarities, because there's so many similarities that it's just only logically explainable. That there's got to be truth within that for it to be so consistent or pretty much on the edge, you know. So it's kind of crazy.
It's just too much. There's too much, in the same way I feel about aliens. And again, like Epic said, sometimes they're one and the same thing. So who knows if Fays and aliens, you know, maybe that realm that is the realm of Fays isn't a realm of Fays. Maybe it's where the aliens are or take you, or
it feels
you know,
like the
what they
realm
make you think.
of the Fae.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks that the realm of Fae is the equivalent of the Garden of Eden that's mentioned in the very beginning of the Bible. Like that is the Fae realm. And there was a tree there was a seed that came from the outside that grew in the garden, and they were told not to touch that fruit, and then they ate that fruit, which turned them human, which means they couldn't exist in the fairy realm anymore, and they were expelled from.
I like that story.
Yeah.
I like that story.
Yeah,
that's a fun take on that.
Mm-hmm. Write that down. Write that down.
Nicole Van Wilder.
Copyright. We're taking the rights to this. Right, please. It is ours.
Quickly before the church comes.
Copyright 4/27/10:30. Okay, p.m. Fine, it's copyright. That's how it works, right?
No, I like that though. Yeah, that's very interesting. That is very interesting.
Like it could be like one and the same. That like the story was that, but then someone else translated it into whatever the Bible is nowadays. But it was probably the Fae kicking out the people that ate the seed or the fruit from a tree that came from the outside of the realm that was like corrupting the area. So they had to get out of there and exist with wherever that tree came from, because that's what they ate. So
very interesting. I like that. Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Sunday school taught me some things.
Sometimes I learned there.
Probably not, but still
For
I
this,
knew things.
It came around one day. We're here now. A little bit. Yeah, I think I definitely think there's a heavy correlation, obviously, with oh goodness, I lost my thing of trot. Having a stroke.
Choo choo, there goes the train.
That's dyslexia, baby. Woo woo. Oh, there's a heavy correlation between the way that people describe certain fairies specifically and aliens. I really, really do.
Big
and a lot
eyes,
of the feelings, the circles, the signs, like
the green skin.
And there's a lot of fairies just in that research, and obviously I was focusing on the changelings, but there's a lot of fairies that like they give off a very menacing, very like dark vibe. They aren't like when they take you, it doesn't feel good. It's not like a fun experience a lot of times, especially if they're taking you to be like a slave or something, which is definitely something they
dark
did.
Fae,
or
maybe
a breeding.
Well, there's so many stories about bad, making bad deals.
Good Fae and bad Fae.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the duendes with the different colors mean different things. It could just be the same for the Fae. I mean, the duende is technically in the Fae realm, so you know.
It's so creepy. It creeps me out. I don't like the idea of a little gnome man suckling on mothers. I don't like that. Bad fairies, bad Epic. Suckling.
What? I didn't do anything.
We know what you are. We know.
You changeling.
I say we know you're
I also find it very creepy that the Men in Black were very much like I said, Men in Black and the Black-Eyed Children just correlate so closely to each other with some of the tellings of each of them, the describers of each of them. Like they're kind of the same. It's just
I need to know more about the Men in Black, because my knowledge on the Men in Black is very scarce. Very scarce.
Yep.
Well, I know a person who had they worked with NASA.
The NASA.
And they had all kinds of documents and stuff, and then and it was like their uncle or their aunt or something, and then they passed away. And they literally said as soon as that person passed away, when they were going through their stuff, like a van showed up and two guys, and they said it was the creepiest thing in the world. It was so creepy that they moved in unison. They talked really monotone, and there was this just creepy vibe off of them. And they literally just walked into the house and took a bunch of stuff and left.
That's very
And he
similar.
said it was
yeah.
like nobody said anything, nobody argued with them, nothing, nobody could. And he said there was like he was just sitting there awestruck, like what's
Kind of
going
trance?
on?
Like they were in a trance, like they were
and they just
stuck in
they
place.
just took stuff and left, and it was like he said it was the creepiest thing
Interesting.
he ever had. That nobody did anything and nobody could. They just saw it, and they're like they talked to a few people, but they said that they were just it was so unreal, like it didn't even happen. And then people just went about the rest of their day doing their stuff.
Are they supposed to be like a government agency or like a creature? That's the question. Okay.
That's the question. A lot of people say that they're like they're with the government,
because
but
the way I thought, like
they
looked.
I feel
maybe clones.
I feel like they were a force that was sent prior, and then they came with an agreement with us, the humans.
Okay, so they're
and
like
they created an
in
agency,
between, like a third
kind of,
party.
you know, like it's like an agency in Earth, so they can learn more about Earth and make sure that things that shouldn't be here aren't here. Kind of like the Men in Black in the movies.
Okay.
So it could be. I believe that it was first an actual an actual group that came in here that were like maintaining it. But then it got to the point that they actually collaborated with mankind and created a secret agency where they could coexist, but also
pretty much keeping the supernatural where they believe the supernatural should be, and then keeping the humans where the humans should be.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I honestly think, and I will go to my grave with this. I honestly think that because they were getting so prevalent in culture, that's the reason they came out with the movie. They released
to make people think it's a joke,
so that people would look at it like a joke and be like, "Oh yeah, you saw Men in Black, like Will Smith and the thing." Not that it was a bad movie, because it wasn't. But
it was. I loved all of them. Even the new
loved
one,
the Men in Black. Yeah, I actually liked them all too. I didn't hate the newest one. I thought it was kind of quirky. I don't know.
I liked it.
But
I honestly feel like they put out that first movie to basically not to cover it up, but to kind of gaslight.
You might know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a female governor. I want to say she was a female governor who was going to come out. This is literally right before 9/11. She was going to come out about the Arizona lights and how many people had seen them and how serious it was. And instead of taking it seriously, they held a press conference. And the guy who even later on said that he had seen these same lights that everyone else had seen and everybody was freaking the fuck out about, he brought out a man in like a blow up alien outfit and was like, this is the this is the alien that was seen, and like made a big joke out of it. And I feel like that's very similar. They do that a lot with like a lot of different things to like divert attention or to make it seem ridiculous. Like a lot of conspiracy theories I think are fake in order to make real ones, legitimate ones, seem stupid as a whole. Like all of them are like, you hear conspiracy, you think goofy goobers.
Bone to gnaw on, a little distraction.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or like all the news people.
Oh,
you saw a UFO, little green men, and then they make fun of that whole situation.
Exactly. And this was like she was very respected, and then it all kind of fell away because 9/11 happened, and of course no one gave a shit about that because what was happening, it was so intense and crazy in itself, and this was completely overshadowed. But this was like a lot of government agencies, military people. The Arizona Lights are what I might touch on at some point because they were just. Or it might have been the Phoenix Lights. It was one of those two. It might have been the Phoenix Lights. But it was one of the largest, I think, mass sightings in U.S. history. And it was super fucking crazy. But that what you said reminded me of that. Like, they very much try to distract people who are like, look at this, ridiculous. Like, y'all look silly when it's exactly. Yeah.
Hiding things in plain sight, so it becomes less powerful because you get desensitized to it, and it creates it automatically creates a distrust of information.
I mean, that's the whole reason they started calling them UAPs, right? And stopped calling them UFOs is because nobody takes the word UFO seriously, and they automatically jump to little green men instead of just something that's unidentified in the air. So
definitely a theory on why they changed it.
So
That's absolutely amazing. So we've got 15 minutes left, but we can keep talking about this. But I'm just trying to plan what time we're going to start wrapping things up. I
wasn't sure when
coming live. Yeah, I'll be watching my feed to see.
I also have
when he
that
goes
smash
live.
or pass that we can always make Epic look at and see if he wants to smash or pass any cryptids.
We can do that, but also
That's up
I
to
kind
you.
of
If you just
wanted
want
to
to chat,
pick. I kind of wanted to pick our darling friends' brains here about the past topics that we've had in this channel.
Okay.
Because
I like that. He's very knowledgeable about them.
Yeah,
so.
Epic has a lot of knowledge,
Yeah.
and so I want to see like if you had any like things that I missed when I covered specific topics, or when Miso covered specific topics, or things that, you know, theories that came to your mind because of topics that we brought up, or any kind of relations.
No, that's a
Stuff
great
like
idea.
that.
I love
or,
that.
Yeah.
You have to specifically
Thank you
bring
for
one of
joining
them
us.
up and then be like, thoughts on this, because I'd be like,
Okay.
And Bentley, I have never seen the Lone Gunman episode.
I know that
I have,
you've,
or not the episode, the spinoff.
I know
haven't seen that
that
one.
you knew about the Virginia incident kind of prior to me covering the Virginia incident. And I didn't know if there was new information that I presented to you when I did the coverage for that. But I personally loved researching that topic and really loved talking about that topic so much.
That
No, that was the South American. I'm trying to remember. Like, I remember because it wasn't actually Virginia. It was
in Brazil.
Yeah.
It was in Virginia, Brazil, and it's where they had a very strange thing that happened in the town of Virginia of aliens or alien sightings that were seen, and people actually dying because of contact of the alien. So
right. I believe that if I recall that from what we were talking about that story, because I knew a little bit about it, but a lot of my thoughts on that was the whole Tulpa thing. The Tulpa, where they were like, their mindset. If I recall, I remember watching the episode. I recall feeling like this could be a Tulpa. Like a lot of these things was the people saw it and they were like started putting it out there, and it kept stuff kept happening. And like I said, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember the details of the episode because for me it's 1:00 in the morning. So
yeah, we go kind of late. Sorry, guys.
So yeah, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember on that one. I don't know as much about that topic. Your research definitely brought a lot forth and made me think of other things. But like, I think I had only heard of it once or twice before, just because. And the only reason I remembered having heard it once before is because in my youth I grew up in a town in Minnesota called Virginia, and I remember seeing it and going, "Oh, that's spelled weird." When I read about it. So I didn't know a whole hell of a lot about the incident itself. I remember seeing some colorful pictures of the town, though. That was really cool.
Speaking of Minnesota, what'd you think of the Minnesota Iceman?
Minnesota Iceman is very interesting because here's the thing. I don't know if there's so much paranormal about it as much as there is the whole, like, okay, it's a guy frozen in ice, theoretically. And is he real? Is he not real? I think at one point he was real. I think at one point it was an actual frozen body, and then something happened to it, and he's like,
"You think they all swap-a-roo or something?"
I think something happened to it. Maybe somebody took it, or maybe it got damaged, or maybe it thawed out.
They didn't know how to take care of it, and it probably decomposed.
It's a lot harder than people would think.
With how many times he had to defrost and refreeze it so that he would get rid of the bubbles, so that it was more believable that that it was found in the water instead of it being something that he shot and put in the freezer and dumped water on kind of situation.
Yeah, I think it's something he found, and I think it's something he found that was frozen. Very much like the whole Encino Man theory, but I don't know, but it definitely tells me that it was some sort of like a an ancient thing that was frozen in a permafrost type area, and he found it, and and that I don't think it was something he shot. I don't think it was something he killed. I think he just found it dead already, and
that I can believe more so, than him killing it. Yeah, absolutely. And then like it exchanged so many hands, it's so hard to say. You know, I mean,
Right.
when did it get swapped? If it got swapped, was it ever even real? Because there's a lot of people that have faked, specifically like Bigfoot-esque hoaxes are very large. Like it's happened a lot, but it's just that one was so different than the other ones, I feel like. And then again, with how many people swapped it, and like you guys said, I think it got damaged. I think I got damaged, and they were like, "Ooh, this is making me money. This is bringing in attention. I gotta fix this. I gotta fix it. I gotta fix it."
I do know I enjoyed when you were talking about the bull of Cooley, because there were so many.
Oh my god, that was so fun.
There were so many Tuatha-De-Danann like adjacent things, and a lot of the deities, and I was sitting there like, I don't think that's how it's pronounced. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced this other way.
You can always guarantee I will never say it right. And I will listen to it too. I'll Google it and I will listen to it with my little ear holes, and I'll still say it wrong. Especially once I actually get on stream. I mean, I spoke backwards, so you know it's be rough out here
Don't
sometimes.
Speak backwards. That'll summon the fairies.
I'm about to say they'll start coming in here. I got blonde hair and blue eyes, but I'm a little old and I'm not in suckling ways, so I wouldn't be very useful. Wouldn't be very useful for them, unless they just want a wife. And you know, are they hot fairies or are they scary fairies? Which kind of fairies are we talking about here?
Well, you know, since they came for humans looking for attractive babies, they might not be as attractive as they made us believe Tinkerbell.
That's what I was curious about. Like,
you know,
I guess just because they had so many sickly babies is why they found them like to be heinous or whatever, or did they just have like ugly fucking babies? Like, what happened? Like, what do they? I guess maybe they just only keep like the pretty.
Does
babies?
it depend on the level? You know, the hierarchy of the fairies. Like maybe they were just lesser fairies.
That's true.
You know?
I know a lot of them were like, again, there was like elderly ones. They were like, you're
you
dying
want to talk about
go
like
suck
the
a tit.
hierarchy, and you want to talk about like the fairy king and queen or whatever, if there was such a thing, or the people, the leaders of the fae, or the higher, more powerful ones. Maybe they look different.
Absolutely. And like, again, a lot of times it was just like grown-ass fairies, grown-ass elves, just getting the rocks off, I guess. Like, they're like, I'm dying soon, so you get out. Go sucking. Like, ugh.
And even talking about like mythological creatures. So if you think like, okay, well, are the, you know, what all constitutes as fairies? Are like the satyrs? Are they considered fairies? Are they part of the fairy realm? Or are they something completely different?
I would say the fae realm is like huge. It's so much bigger than I ever realized.
Right, because if you're really going to include trolls in the fairy realm, right? We're going to include trolls in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not
Trolls
all
were
the
in
other
there.
things?
Yep. Trolls. It said trolls, demons, a bunch of things, but you know.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned multiple times about like we might be the ones that invaded here.
Oh,
we're
absolutely.
the only ones that are, you know. So.
And the question is, are our realms truly separate, or are they together and we just can't see them in plain sight, I guess? Because there's theories on that too. Like, is the Fae realm really a realm, or is it just a layer? Yeah, exactly.
We're in the same area, but just like
multiversey
layered in a
vibes.
different dimension in the same location. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. I think that I find that very believable, because I could even believe that like, I've mentioned this before with like things like people with hauntings, ones that are less visual, specifically like things getting knocked over, moved, switched around. That could easily be something of more of like a fae vibe than a ghost, or even like multiverse, like we said, layering. Like that could be something just in a different layer that's bleeding through. And I heavily believe that, in the sense of people feeling things too. Like you could be feeling another realm, another universe, layered, or a layer, you know, something like that. So it's just my
and sometimes the
theory.
bleed throughs is why there's so many similarities in different areas.
And like I think me and Epic actually talked about this, the Mandela effect. Yeah.
Yep.
So all kinds of things could definitely be in that. Frenchie just started. All right, guys.
Oh,
Well,
let's let him pre-roll
start up
ads
a little
and get
bit,
set
yep.
up. Let's not rush
Let them burn a little bit. I was just letting you guys know. Like,
let him burn
Okay.
some oil.
You don't have to worry.
For the ghost, I think some are stuck here.
I think Epic realized what I was doing. The entire time I'm like searching my computer while you're talking. He's just like, oh no. My brain's just like,
Bentley says, I think it depends on the case of a ghost. I think some are stuck here and some kind of bleed through or a bleed through. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe, well, I don't know, I have a hard, like, I'm a little more skeptic about stuff, but, and I've personally never experienced anything out of the norm in the sense of, like, ghost-wise, although I did show Epic that video that my mother-in-law took, that I definitely find to be fucking weird. I can't explain it, so, I definitely think it could have been, her brother Rick, outside his room, and no one's even was, like I said, no one was even living in this spot. I wish I had the video. I wasn't expecting to, you know, have a little spot for it, but yeah, it was very strange, and I guess that's probably one of the more unbelievable things I've experienced in a believer.
She's an
Absolutely,
and
and
a believer.
a lot of people I know are, and I'm very open to it though. Like I would like to go ghost hunting. I would like to see for myself. I'm definitely someone that's like, I'm a seer, make me a believer type of person.
Right.
But I'm definitely open to it. I think that it'd be silly to think that as humans, with all the things we're learning just in our normal lives and just with science and things like that, that we are alone, or that there is not things that we can't explain and we will never explain, and will always be up for question. And where did certain lore come from? Where did certain deities come from? Like, these types of things go so deep and have such expanding roots. I have a hard time believing that they wouldn't be deeper than just like a brush off, you know what I mean? So I'm definitely in a weird, like, you know, spot.
My last
with
statement
my
on you. My last statement on you is, I don't know if you were, like, I feel like we've had discussions where you were raised in a religious home and you were probably forced to, like, do the prayer to, like, what if that prayer that you did created a shield over you because it showed that that was the entity you chose to worship? And so therefore other entities can't reach you because you've got this bubble of the entity known as Jesus actually, like, putting some kind of rune on you to ward them away. Like people that want to be believers, but they don't see it, and they want to see it, but most of the time the ones that can't see it are the ones that were raised in a religious home that went through the whole, I accept him into my heart, and then I feel like that in itself causes like a barrier.
Well,
that
see, for me,
if you will.
Yeah.
My religious background is actually kind of weird because I was raised religious, but I wasn't. My dad's been married a lot. And each marriage came a new religion. My mother was actually adopted into a Jewish family. So I was actually raised going to temple and stuff until I was probably like 4 or something when they got divorced too. Somewhere in there, I couldn't fucking remember. I know I even had like a name and everything. Like, it's not by blood, she was adopted. But then we went to like Protestant, Christian, and then I was in Catholic school for like 2 years. I never really believed, like, I'm not a religious person. I've never accepted that, so I don't know. My mom was heavily like Wiccan for a very long time. Like, I've been like a lot of layers in that, but I do think could be something to what you're saying. Absolutely,
relation to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We might continue this discussion at another time, but we gotta take this train to the next stop.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys so much for the donations. Remember to check out Vulgar at noon and Dono as well for that if you want the Steam gift card. All right, guys, let me get going here.
We had so much fun with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the topics.
I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for being
before
here.
we
We're leaving
leave,
at 15:60.
Ready, Miso? Before we leave, you know what we got to do. We got to do our sign off. So your job is to say "and," okay? That is your job. Me and Miso will do the rest. Okay, Miso?
My job?
Your guns.
Yeah, Miso, you go. Then, wait, am I the one that goes first or do you go first? I think I go first.
Yeah.
I go first, and then after that, you say your line, and then after that, Miso closes it. So, are you ready? We'll stay thick.
And?
You stay spooky.
All right, let's go. We love you guys.
box. There we go.
That was so much fun. Thank you
Oh,
so
I
much,
love it,
Epic.
yes.
I hope you had a great time with us and enjoyed this conversation. And you're gonna go get some sleep after this.
Yes.
My bedtime's usually like 10. Usually when I go to bed, 10 p.m.
Make sure we're all
I took a nap today though.
good.